Hey there. I've been working on this project creating a series of 12 playlists, one for each of the zodiac signs in Western astrology. I've gotten pretty obsessed and have been using it as a way of meditating on the meaning and medicine of each sign as we pass through the zodiac. The playlists are pretty long, each between 4 to 8 hours, and they can be listened to either on shuffle or straight through from beginning to end, for a more intentional journey through the themes and contradictions of each sign. Each playlist is filled with songs by artists who are native to that sign. But of course, the sun sign, which is the one of yours that you probably know even if you're not that into astrology, the sun sign is just one part of the birth chart, and popular astrology often reduces everything to just sun signs, which can quickly make the practice of astrology simplistic and problematic. It's important to remember that all of us are complex human beings, and we embody the themes and contradictions of the whole zodiac. Indeed, the zodiac can really only be deeply understood as a whole, as a reflection of the entire human psyche and condition. So the driving force for me in choosing the songs for each of these playlists was not the birthdays of the artists, although that factored in, but rather the spirit and messages of the songs in relation to the signs of the zodiac. In this way, I've done my best to honor the complexity of both the artists and the symbols. I'll be creating these accompanying videos with each playlist, so you can check out the Gemini one from last month and stay tuned for Leo next month. The full videos and write-ups are available to patrons. Thank you, patrons. And shorter forms are going out on social media. I hope both these playlists and these videos help you to appreciate the richness of the zodiac in ways that serve your personal evolution and spiritual growth. I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I would love to hear your reactions, ideas, and suggestions for songs for these playlists, so feel free to leave me a comment with any thoughts you may have to share, and thank you as always for watching, following, liking, subscribing, and supporting. Let's get into it! On the morning of the summer solstice, I went out to my favorite spot at Pratt Beach overlooking Lake Michigan and sang some songs to the waves. As I soaked in the sun rays, I felt overcome with beauty, and in me rose a happiness so deep that it brought up an equally profound sadness for all the places in my heart in need of healing, and for the great and countless pains in the world. Solstice means sun stands still. As the sun enters the sign of Cancer, we have reached a most sacred and poignant moment in the wheel of the year. The light is at its fullest. For a day, the sun seems to almost stand still as it lingers in its longest passage across the sky. Heat and light and energy abound. The world is illumined. Life exalts. The crab symbolizes this sublime moment because of its sacred form that beautifully contains, protects, and stewards its precious life force energy. The first water sign of the zodiac, it represents the strength of nature to create life, nurture growth, and establish itself into powerful, individual, sovereign forms. Fun fact, the basic crab shape, the shape we generally associate with creatures called crabs, has proven to be something of an evolutionary landmark. Scientists have discovered over and over again that in the last 100 million years, independent groups of crustaceans that have started out with the elongated bodies we associate with lobsters have later evolved into the rounder, flatter shapes of crabs in a process called carcinization. And while the glyph of Cancer may not seem to look very much like a crab, it does look something like the Chinese glyph of the Tao, the Way, which depicts the dynamic interplay of the twin dialectical forces of yin and yang, the receptive and projective principles that give rise to all phenomena in nature. The crab, as successful as it has been at enduring the changes of nature over millions of years, has something to teach us about the Tao, the Way. Blunting sharp edges, untangling knots, softening the glare, settling the dust, it evolves us all and makes the whole world one. After the outward-oriented, exploratory stage of Gemini, consciousness turns inward, discovering that, like water, it can receive and unite all things into itself and create whole worlds within. That is, as long as it can preserve its life. The crab's strategy, Stephen Forrest writes, is to create the minimal defenses consistent with survival. Cancerian souls are generally loving, empathetic, and sensitive, and this is precisely their greatest strength. They can also become fierce defenders of those they love, and of the people, land, or causes that they identify with and associate with a sense of home. Some of the traditional social roles that can embody the highest qualities of this sign are parents, actually any family relation, caregivers, healers, nurses, therapists, teachers, social workers, facilitators and circle keepers, artists, especially poets and songwriters, doulas and midwives, storytellers and journalists, especially of the realities that are most painful to bear witness to. It should be obvious, then, how urgently our movement for a more human and compassionate world needs Cancerian medicine. We need the kind of soft but fierce warrior quality that Cancer brings in all fields and in all fronts of struggle. We need to show up for each other with empathy for the trauma that everyone is bringing. We need leaders who know how to hold clear boundaries based on principles of mutuality and love, without disposing of anyone or sacrificing the essence of that love that we claim to be about. If we ever want to create a world with no need for police, prisons, or bombs, we need to be able to witness each other, to hold space for each other, to be vulnerable with each other. The shadow of Cancer is what we see when we or someone we know take on more than a fair share of the burden, eventually reaching a point of not being able to take on anything at all. I think of my Grandma Maria, my abuela, who moved from central Puerto Rico to Chicago to marry my grandpa, and patiently lived with him and loved him for 65 years, during which time he never made a serious attempt to learn her native Spanish language. In her final years, her resentment about this became clearer to those of us who loved her. I think of other loved ones in my life who see themselves so much as givers and not takers, that they are sometimes almost completely unable to receive, and therefore unable to truly give. This may be the most emotionally difficult of the Zodiac playlists to listen to, because Cancer is the most emotionally difficult transition of the Zodiac to pass through. But I promise you that I have curated this playlist to serve as a healing journey through the realms of love, sorrow, and empathy. And like all of the playlists, it's also full of sensual goodness and meditative instrumental moments along the way for integration. You can listen to it on shuffle to let the spirit guide your journey, or if this sign and season is particularly important for you, I encourage you, as always, to listen to the whole playlist from beginning to end, in order. At 6.5 hours, I imagine listening this way could last you through the whole astrological month. Listening this way will take you into a deep dive and passage through your inner oceans as a ritual for entering Cancer season. Thank you so much. One love.